So during this time with my kids, like I mentioned, of one thing after another, struggling for so many years, I literally wrote down my story
Mhm.
because so there were two things that kept me going. One, I was still working outside of the home. And I have to tell you, Hunter, I needed that income because all of these things
Oh, I
cost
bet.
so much money.
I bet.
And I was a commercial real estate broker for many years. And to process all of the pain, I literally wrote in my journal every day. That's how I processed. And so I remember being in a therapist appointment with my daughter. And I actually told the therapist, I'm afraid that my daughter doesn't want to be happy, that she identifies
Mm,
so much as being this like depressed, sick person.
mm.
And he said, well, what do you think, Avery? Do you think you want to be happy? And she said, yes, I want to be happy. And he asked her, well, what would make you happy? And she said, well, I would be happy if my mom was happy.
Ah.
And I was like, I'm happy. And he's like, she doesn't think so. And it really had to take a step back. And I asked the therapist, I'm like, so if I'm happy, she'll be happy. And he said, looks like it. And I really had to reevaluate. I'm not happy because I actually set this narrative for so many years that I'll be happy if my kids are just happy and healthy.
Mm.
And the problem with that narrative is my kids were not happy and they were not healthy and it wasn't their fault. And I was putting so much pressure on them to just be happy and healthy so that I could be happy. And I
Mm.
really had to invert the whole dynamic that for her to be happy and healthy, I have to be happy and healthy. And it led me on a journey of like, well, what would make me happy? Like, aside from that, what would really make me happy? And I was like, I really want to share my story. Storytelling brings me happiness. I light up. It's such a therapeutic process. And I just got the idea of like, I'm going to share my story through a podcast. I'm a very audio person. And I then just got behind a microphone and started sharing my story, and it would light me up. And the happier I became, the whole dynamic in my house changed.
I just wanna, underline that right there because, let's just stop, dear listener. You and I, dear listener, are audio people, I too, I know, we are here. So, let's just underline this Liza's story that it it wasn't her kid's job, it wasn't their responsibility to give her happiness, right? So we think, "Oh, it doesn't matter how I feel or what if my needs are met, whatever, if just my kids are," but it's not their job to make you happy. It's not their job to, please you and fulfill you in life. That's not their job. That's too much pressure on our kids, and you may have kids my gosh, your kids had enough pressure on them, right? To
Right.
do enough other things. And your happiness as a mom is what, it's like that's contagious, right? If they're struggling. They don't need someone else who's struggling around them. They need somebody who's like a solid mountain, who's peaceful, who's grounded, who can help them find the light in their lives, right? If you're only in darkness, that's not going to help them. That's amazing. Your daughter had a lot of wisdom. I love that you were able to see that and come to that.
Yes. It was such a game changer that um and it was such I really had to take pause, Hunter, and think, wait, what would make me happy? I mean, have we ever all sat down and explored that outside of our children? What will make us happy? That's where all the work is. That's where all my work was in helping my kids. I had to find out what would make me happy and act on it and get my happy on. And it just so happened to be storytelling, sharing my story, doing the podcast, putting all the energy and focus into making myself happy and healthy. And when I did that, there was really such an energetic shift in my home, um, of just a more pleasant vibration, a more capable vibration. And that's how I was better able to serve my kids from a different lens.
Catch new episodes of the Mindful Mama podcast and other free resources, including the Mindful Mom Guide at mindfulmamamentor.com. You can listen to every back catalog episode, including interviews with Dr. Dan Siegel, Janla Van Zant, Sharon Salzberg, and get meditations, join our private Facebook group, and more. Go to mindfulmamamentor.com now. I'll see you there.